All right, so we have a relatively easy day as far as my perspective goes. I don't have a lot of new things to teach you, but more just to show you the next steps, and then you guys have a lot of work to do to fill it out. So let's share the screen here. So the next thing that we are doing is completing this Prisma flow diagram. And I talked a little bit about that last time. And this is the beginning of our results. So with your methodology that you're finishing up writing now, you described what you're going to do. Basically now we're just going to begin the process of, in fact, doing that. Okay. So like I said, this is available in Word. So you can go ahead and type right into this. And then my suggestion is when you get it completed, you can just take a like snipping of that and turn it into an image because it won't change and it's a figure. And you can then insert that figure into your document. So you had your final search results that were due today. If you haven't done that, go ahead and just, when you do your search, your final search, which basically is typing in your search terms to each of the databases and coming up with whatever it comes up with. Okay. So like I said before, and then you can just take a screenshot of that and upload it to that final search results thing. Like I said, what makes this a systematic review is everything has to be accounted for. So we don't look at the articles right away, right? As far as what's in the search, we just start processing it. So the very first thing you're going to do is you are going to take the search number for every single search that you did and add them together. All right? So you add them together. Whatever that number is goes right here. Then comes the annoying part. You have to remove the duplicates. And we need to know how many duplicates there were. The computer really isn't going to do this for you. It's just looking through them to see if the article is in more than one database. That just takes time. If you come up with a great way to do it, please let me know. Otherwise, Control F tends to work as well. But that takes a long time. But that's just the reality of it. After you removed the duplicates, so once you remove the duplicates, remove them from one of the search engines that you used. So in reality, the best way to go about this that I have found is when you type in your results to PubMed, Medline, CNOL, Sports Discus, oftentimes one of those will give you more results than the others. So that becomes my working list. That's my master list. After that, then, if there are duplicates where, let's say PubMed has the most, which is usually the most common. PubMed has the most. So this is my working list I'm going through. If an article is in both PubMed and Sports Discus, I will remove it from my Sports Discus search. Right? And so PubMed stays unchanged. I remove it from Sports Discus. At that point in time, you'll have a new number. And that goes right here. So let's say we had 120 articles that we found. After tediously going through it, we found that 20 were duplicates. So now we have 100. We then start going through and we look at the title. If the title is an obvious non-match, meaning it obviously has nothing to do with what we're doing, we can go ahead and delete that article. Right? And you can go ahead and delete that from your PubMed list and then go do SportsMed or Medline, Sports Discus, and you will delete that. At the end, then, you will have a new number, right, which can go here, right? So number after duplicates removed, number screened, right? These are the same numbers. I do not know why. Right, so this number here and this number. So we started off here. I'll just go through 120. We did 100. And we then would screen 100 of them. So we then go through and we find that 50 articles we eliminate based on title. And so I just delete those right off my list. Then I start reading the abstracts. So let's then assume that we read the abstract, and from the abstract, we find out that 25 are obviously not relevant to our study. And they have to be obviously not relevant. At that point, we have 25 articles still remaining in our search, and we excluded 75 articles. For this step, we do not need to specifically identify why each article was removed, but instead, at this point in time, once I've removed them, I would write down a general statement on why they were removed. Right? So of the 75, let's say about approximately 2/3, or we'll say approximately half, were removed because they did not measure the outcome of interest. A quarter of them were removed because they only used animals, and a quarter were removed because they were on, the wrong population. Just, basic guess as far as the amounts and why they were removed. That will be included in your results that we write up. So the results section has 2 parallel tracks. You will do the flow chart as well as the results table. So you do everything graphically, and then you repeat everything in written form. So we complete this table first, then we will write the exact same information down, and we will talk about that, I believe, on Monday. So right now, all you need to be working on with this is to start doing this. I believe the flow chart is due a week from today. Right, yep, final search flow chart. So at that point in time, I now have 25 articles that I need to screen full text for eligibility. Okay. At this point, my suggestion is print out those 25 articles, or at least have a place where you can kind of keep track of them. Printing them out is by far the easiest, but if you have a digital way to do it, that's great as well. And the reason you print them off is because these are now the articles that are going to be in your study one way or another. So every article here that makes it to full text will be cited in our paper. It will be either cited with regards to exclusion, or it will be cited as part of our discussion and results in our results table. Yep. So what you would do after you print them off, you're going to read the full text. In reality, all you really need to do is read the methods, because that's where all the inclusion and exclusion criteria for your study will be found. So you read the methods for each study. At that point in time, you will be able to make a definitive answer on whether or not it meets your inclusion criteria or not. If it does not, write the reason at the top of the front page and put it in a pile that says exclusion. And so let's say then of that, 15 of the articles that we read for exclusion or for inclusion and exclusion criteria did not meet our inclusion criteria for whatever reason. So 15 goes here, that leaves 10 here. So we have a pile of 15 articles that specifically states why we excluded them. We will include those specific reasons in the written portion of our systematic review. We are not doing a meta-analysis, so we can just delete these. And this becomes our flow chart. At that point of time, we then have to finish this out. Of these 10 articles that we have decided to include, we need to look at their references. And so you go to their reference list and see if there are any articles in their reference list that are worth entertaining and looking at. So let's say of that, then we have 5 articles that we find. So now we have to adjust our numbers. We have 5, now we will have 5 here. All right, since we identified them through those other ways, obviously they're not a duplicate. So we add 5, we add 5. Obviously, we are not going to exclude them. We are not going to exclude them based on title. For that, we might exclude them based on abstract. in which case it would go in there. But in reality, these probably go straight down through. There's no reason to add them to the system unless they're going to make it to the final cut. But so then we added those 5 articles, and so you see everything here gets increased by 5. Now I have 15 articles from the 105 articles that were unduplicated of the 125 articles that were originally identified within my search and cross-referencing. Questions on this process or what I'm asking you to do right now? So the way you get started with this, and the reason that we have a week for this, is because you need to get started to get, like I mentioned last time, getting down to at least this full text article as soon as possible. Because there are going to be articles that we do not have that you will need to interlibrary loan. You cannot assess them for full text until you get that article. And if we're delayed now getting the article, then we're delayed full text doing it, and then we're also then delayed on doing our annotated bibliography on that article. So here, before the weekend, you have to finish your methods section, but that should not take a great deal of time if, thanks to the fill in the blank worksheet. And before Friday, my recommendation is, and I would say like before Friday morning, because there's not much difference between, in reality for interlibrary loans, there's not much difference between Friday at noon and Monday at noon, right? Because there's not going to be a lot of stuff going on for interlibrary loan over the weekends normally. I mean, you may get lucky, but you shouldn't count on that. So at least by Friday morning, hopefully, so tonight and all day tomorrow, you will be able to get any interlibrary loan requests sent out. Obviously, the sooner the better, because that gives them more time. But you do have some time on the other end. And there will be some, obviously, that are available free full text. And you can continue to work on those while you are waiting on the interlibrary loans. Data organization becomes really important for this portion, where you have your data points, which are the articles, and you need to keep track of them as far as where they go. So, you have to make sure that this number plus this number equals this number, right? This number plus this number equals this number. This number should equal this number, right? And then this number kind of comes out of thin air because it doesn't actually ask you how many duplicates there were. Right, but obviously this number comes from the sum of these two numbers minus the total duplicates. Okay? So that is the assignment for the week here going forward. You also have your peer review for the methods due over the weekend. One thing that I would like to show you here that might be helpful, just kind of on the side. So when you're doing your peer reviews, you have a few different ways to provide your feedback, right? A lot of you have been going through and typing in comments, which is great, right? That's your general comment area. But if you would like, you also have the ability to provide comments within the document. So there are a few different tools. You can strike things, right? You can actually type stuff in there. My two favorite that you'll see when I'm doing this are these point annotations. And so like I can just click this right there. And so that's where this comment goes. So I could say, good use of references. Right? And then it just goes right there. The other aspect here is if I can say, um, let's say I don't like this sentence. I can highlight this sentence, right? And then at that point, add a comment and just say sentence. I need to remember to go delete these. So you can just do it right in the document. If I wanted to say, this word isn't needed, I can just strike it. I'm not really sure what this does. I guess it lets me freehand draw. And then text, I guess I can just type something right on there. Not really sure why that would be warranted. So if that's easier for you, go ahead and use that. And so that way it makes it easier maybe also for your reader to know what you're talking about where. So it's kind of a combination of, like track changes sort of stuff. All right. So maybe that will make it a little easier somewhere along the lines. If not, then your normal comments on the side is fine as well. Okay. Any other questions about what is expected of you between now and Monday when we meet again? All right. So I will kick you guys loose.